Welcome back to the Overwatch League here. Second half of our second day in the knockouts and heading over towards Group B. It's me, Everall, with leg day again. And we got some interesting matchups because I don't know if you could call them upsets yesterday, but we started to see some of the Overwatch League teams begin the game and again. And both Shanghai and Guangzhou did not make it through at least the first round versus our contenders team. So they're going down to the lower bracket, and we're going to be starting out by looking at where SPG and O2 Blast are at, and can they win against another Overwatch League team?
Yeah, SPG coming out to face Seoul Infernal here, which is definitely going to be a significantly larger challenge, some would say, than the Shanghai Dragons, who were very focused in on the Winston yesterday. Admittedly, we just saw some success from Winston with the Hangzhou Spark, but I imagine that we're not going to be seeing something quite as static from the Seoul Infernal, who have got a host of different tanks that are available for both MAG, and of course we've seen Poco play for this team now in their last regular season game.
I don't think that Pogo's still there. I would be surprised, so pretty sure it's just MAG. We did see a decent amount of Sigma being played yesterday. I don't know how deep we are into a meta that really favors Sigma. Circuit Royale is still on the docket, but Escort's all the way at map 5 now, so it's unlikely that that's going to be a defining factor unless we go all the way, you know. Until we get a game that really is going to go the distance, we're not going to get to a map where it's like, yeah, this is really a Sigma map. But we did see some of it on New Queen Street. Seoul Infernal, I think they're a heavy favorite for this bracket. That should come to no surprise. We'll be interested seeing what they'll be bringing to that table today, as you know, the meta has shaped up a lot, and we've seen across the board a lot of teams have their own interpretations. We haven't even settled on like, here is the one thing you should play. Everyone's kind of playing their own thing.
Yeah, one of the things that we've seen across multiple teams and multiple different iterations of interpretations of this meta has been a bit of Genji. And that excites me as we go into a Seoul Infernal game, because Zest is a crazy guy on the Genji. Incredibly strong at that hero. Zest actually got such a good mind for flanking, but on both the Tracer and the Genji. But MM3 also being able to play more of those hard hit scans, not having to stick as much to the Sombra, which admittedly, he said before he hated playing. It's going to mean that MM3 can flex his muscles, but trying to stop him, Aiden, although are a pretty slick DPS duo themselves. And Miogara, I think, has certainly come into his own, being able to play the ball at times as well, but also Theorissa right now is definitely the flavor of the month.
I'm still a little bit concerned about the ball. I'm not too sure if that's really going to be something that can be continued to play or not. I mean, maybe to beat Shanghai with it. Can they do much more against the Seoul Infernal? Because Seoul Infernal, it's a different kettle of fish. It's a much better team. The ball sort of pocket pick, it's been revealed now as well. Seoul Infernal, they're aware. They saw the games yesterday. They would have. So it's not going to be a sort of ace in the hole that you can just sort of pull out. And Mag's not afraid. I mean, I don't know what was going on with Shanghai yesterday. Probably not part of their strategy to run the ball. Fate could definitely do it, but it's seems like a strange pick in current meta, because I think dive generally seems still a little bit risky. Hangzhou pulled it off against Dreamers today, but when we look across the board, the thing that's impressed me the most has been, strangely, the Junker Queen play. The Dallas absolutely destroyed. We'll see if Seoul Infernal does similar things. Let's go ahead and make the team.
There he goes. Feud feels like this needs to be rescued, and indeed it does.
Look at how aggressive he's able to get right now. Everybody's dropping.
And it is just a field day for Zest. Oh my god. MN3 has other plans, though. MN3 has other plans, though.
Name that sticks out to me there, definitely got to be skewed. One of our MVP candidates too, I believe, and with Iliari on the docket, that big damage hero. Skewed is known for that aim, and it's definitely been clean sweeping up and down through APAC when it comes to these flex support competitions. But I'm wondering about Fix's hero pool as well. I think if I cast my mind back into the deep recesses of history, maybe Fix has got a BAP in there somewhere.
He does.
But Yeah, I think he might have played flexible for a while as a back, and that would give Skewed so much room to maneuver on an Iliari that would be possibly fearsome for any team to behold.
He's not a flexible player, but the Bapillary comp for Skewed Fix will be pretty strong. Zest, our other MVP candidate from this region, there'll be Skewed and Zest flexing that flag. Best of luck to them. As you mentioned the Genji here, I think there should be a decent amount of Genji today, especially in our upcoming match, because Who Are You versus Prof will be the matchup in that particular game. But in this one, I guess although it could probably look towards something like that, but SPG so far, if they're going to be playing similar things to what we saw yesterday, I think they'll mostly stick on to more common, either the Orisa look or the ball look. Aid played a ton of Torbjorn yesterday as well. Wonder if MN3 is going to be bringing out some of the Torb. That's been added to the hit scan pool as of late in terms of expectations, what you should play. I'm also a big fan of the Soldier 76. We saw Shy pound on that, especially on New Junk City in our previous game. MN3, top hit scan player, should be right on board with some Soldier.
Yeah, the amount of raw damage a Soldier pumps out, especially Shy in that role, very difficult to deal with. As we go to Lijiang Tower first, I do believe this will be the choice of the Seoul Infernal. We've seen Mag play a decent amount of Reinhardt here, I believe, especially on Control Center. And with Symmetra being one of those characters that's also come into common parlance, especially for Dallas Fuel, as we saw earlier with the Junker Queen, it can cover up some of the weaknesses of the less mobile tanks like Junker Queen and Orisa to have that kind of burst mobility that Symmetra does bring. And of course, on Lijiang Tower, Symmetra's been meta for as long as the sky's been blue, so we are fairly likely to maybe see that come out from either of our teams as we roll in.
I think Junker Queen has been a very, very strong pick lately, and to the point where some teams have straight up kind of one-trick this hero. And initially I was thinking, well, you just can't run into an Orisa team with a Junker Queen. Surely, I'm proven wrong. Apparently, just can run into an Orisa team with the Junker Queen, and it works. So we'll be interested to see if that continues forward. That is especially going to be a strong counter comp play versus our teams that do enjoy the dive. SPG have enjoyed the dive. As we start out on Control Center, we'll put the Junker Queen to the side for now. It's going to be Ryan time.
Ryan time for all and sundry. But the key difference here going to be the Mei versus the Bastion. Remember, that wall won't last long against the attentions of a Bastion with its wheels down. Only 200 HP per pillar, and already out come the wheels, and that's going to be a huge amount of damage done to Milgaru's shield, and a forced disengagement. Milgaru's already dead. He's gone too.
It's all over. Cap is not even unlocked at this stage. Zest with the bulk of the kills coming on through. Let's see if there's any swaps. SPG doesn't look like it. Now would be the time to go to your own Bastion if you wanted to. I respect that they stay on the Mei though.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Plenty. Like, if you know that they've rolled out into your Bastion having used their speed boost to get there that early, why not just try and take that engage when they can't pull out the proper disengage?
This ultimate should be coming online this fight as well. Jinsung actually a huge amount of healing. He's backing out. Speaking of damage, Milgaru, he's low. It's actually although down first. And the window's been deployed. No one's there to use it.
Oh, a mag triple. Using all parts of the kit in order to wreak fury upon any of SPG who dare to present themselves. Jinsung thought he was pretty slick bringing out that early window, but nothing but a good view of Seoul Infernal dominance.
I mean, that's has been two very quick fights in a row. Again, tempo from Seoul Infernal has just been that much greater than what SPG's been bringing to the table. They don't even have time to set up ultimates. The window came in as the Infernal already took down most of the SPG team. They've got aggressive TP and they want Zest down early if they can get it, but the Italian field is going to protect them for now. Shadow goes into shield. It's going to be Aldo taken down as well. Another first one from Seoul Infernal, backed by ultimates.
Yeah, just breaking down SPG. Now they simply scatter to the hills. This is going to be some long-term staggers. Aid throws himself down the tower to see what waits below. SPG are at least going to be able to play around their Symmetra wall here, which will be a good means of trying to counter out this Bastion mortar, but it's easy enough to avoid with a speed boost.
You don't have to counter the Bastion mortar. It actually doesn't do anything. So there's no requirements to counter. There's no such thing as countering it. You can't counter it.
Hey, that's my prove you wrong, bro.
If he does, SPG are truly worse than I thought, so that would be interesting.
Well, let's find out.
Use sound barrier here. There we go. We'll catch everybody as expected. Mortar artillery does nothing as expected. Milgaru's time to shatter. This one does not connect. I don't think maybe it goes there. Not too sure on that one. Just does go down. He's been the prime force. And Mad SPG, they can't really get advantage. They need more players, but they're still down more. M3 still doing plenty of damage. A Blizzard to maybe save the day. It is final fight, so this Blizzard has to do all the work. It's done enough to get M3. Very low numbers here for the final couple of skirmishes. Although versus Fixer, they both go down to respawners.
And now skewed. Free firing, down goes the Immortality field. Zest sees everything he wants, a little bit more squished up against the wall. They're simply pancakes for Mag's breakfast. And Seoul Infernal 100% to 0, even though they nearly lost it in that last fight.
To really drive home how quick those fights were, we had 3 fights in 60%. Typically for a control map, I'm expecting about 1 fight for 25. We're doing 1 for 20 here. So it was quick going. Slowed down eventually when, you know, was that last fight especially, things got a little bit more even in these early fights. We saw that was fight 2. That was when Jinsung deployed the Matrix to no avail, unfortunately. Seoul Infernal just in their faces, and doesn't look like anyone's changing so far. We're going to run back the exact same comps again on Guarded.
Although having trouble delivering too much damage at the moment. Of course, the second you use that Ice Block, you are in dire straits. Remember last time it was all about that early speed boost and the lack of disengagement. It seems like it might be the same problem again. Milgari's got nowhere to go into the jaws of Hades. Oh, Zest is getting everything he wants and a little bit more.
I was paying attention to health bars on the rollout, and before the fight even begun, as the two Ryans were about to pin each other, they both stopped just shy of it. You saw the SPG health bars. It was like 3 members on half health. And we didn't even really start the fight yet. It was that quick in terms of raw damage output from the poke of Infernal, and then Hyunjae just melted.
Alright, SPG have decided they want no more of the pseudo mirror.
They're not winning that mirror, so.
Well, all those gone. Bye-bye.
They might not be winning this either. TP on the backside, they're being completely sandwiched in. Possibly, anyway, there's the option for it. Infernal actually respected. They're not going to go full deep in 5 versus 4. Hyunjae might not make it back to the team. It depends if he gets sniped down or not. Let's you try.
Just been continuously shepherded here. What a fire strike gets rid of aid. Mag low on health, yes, but the Immortality field is more than enough to deal with it, and all those just turned up to see the rest of his team dead. Guys, what did I miss?
There's only one thing left for SPG to try, and that's the ball. I don't know if now would be a good time to do it or not. Way too much commitment on your front and ultimates. Well, the not would be you'd lose everything because you're really committed on ults here, and you might not get ults again, given how quick this map is going. Infernal about to get their stride with some more ultimates. This has all been neutral for Infernal so far. They haven't had to spend anything, haven't had anything. That's how fast the fight's been.
Yeah, not too much invested thus far by Seoul Infernal. MN3 can of course bisect the battlefield with that shield wall, so should he deem it necessary. A rail shot ready to go, an opening pick at double damage, that would be great. Zest is gone. That's a huge pick here for Seoul Infernal, but no one can be bothered to catch the fire strike. At 200 damage, it would have been too much for many, and Mag weighing the options here. Do I drop the Shadow instead, going for an elsewise charge? Better for a reset, and finally SPG grabs some control.
Infernal played that one really conservatively. They had 5 ultimates and they decided just, you know, play the window, see what happens, and SPG worked their way around it. Infernal could have probably have maybe invested larger into that fight. Coming back through onto the next one is still okay, but now that SPG have actually won an engagement, they're coming up into 3 extra ultimates that they didn't have before. So things start to get a little bit more interesting. See if Infernal can read just how ultimate SPG are.
An interesting decision for the wall. More of a lateral play in Mag, looking for a way to try and weave in this Shadow. Looking for that Javelin, of course, because that could interrupt it. I believe the mortar itself was interrupted. Laid down on the floor. Enough of this melee tomfoolery, says the Reinhardt, as the Terror Surge grabs little to nothing. Javelin spin absorbs a huge amount of incoming damage from a minigun, but everyone else is going to be catching it anyway. Vilgaru doesn't know where to look. It's pain coming from all sides. It's a big old pick from Mag, and manages to grab a charge onto aid. And now with this flip back, dire straits for SPG.
Infernal didn't hold back that time. Everything got thrown in, as you'd expect. Now we cycle back over to Skewed versus Jinsung. Began Matrix. Skewed already has it. Jinsung still lacking. As SPG are going to go towards White Room. This is going to give a nice front-to-back angle. The last time, I think SPG managed to actually push through this choke, even despite Skewed ulting. Definitely final fight territory now. Skewed the man to watch. And here comes the damage.
Replay there onto the nade. That would have been a good amount of damage. Yeah, instead, Large amount of absorption. There's the second window coming through, but MN3 behind is going to be an issue. Max eating a lot of damage here. Remember, double healing goes through that window as well from his little globules from the bat. So man going to back off for a moment, making sure that he's well healed up. MN3 going to play it long to make sure that this wall comes out, and now Skew can roll forward in concert with Skewed, and Seoul Infernal will take away that final fight.
The real struggles there. Almost one lost fight on Control Synth to one actual lost fight on Gardens, but that to me still seemed like Infernal holding back somewhat. Comes back in the next fight, no holding back. And no mercy for this SPG squad is, I'll say it, that was quite the slaughter on Lee Jung.
Oh yeah. Pretty strong performance to begin with here, and it seems like Seoul are feeling pretty confident with the current pseudo-meta DPS picks of the Symmetra and the Bastion 2. I'll have to see where SPG will want to take us to try and potentially mitigate this. They have very limited options, only 3 maps in our hybrid pool. We've got Midtown, Numbani, and Eichenwald. It feels like Eichenwald might be a little bit weakest for the Bastion, but that does also offer up a bunch of potential verticality for Seoul Infernal to try and play with something like the Genji. There might be no good options, but perhaps SPG can find one. We'll see what they pick after the break.
Quick in and out at Lijiang, just to stop over for us as we head next into Midtown, I believe, is map number 2. That is the SBG selection, given that they did lose Lijiang Tower. But yeah, man, that was quick leg day. We did not spend long there.
Yeah, that was real fast. Of course, I do believe that was the pick of Seoul Infernal. They were well prepared for that map, and certainly it's a map where Mag can really show off that he's not just a Winston player. And this has been an excellent breakout year for Mag. Like, we knew he was fantastic on Runaway back in his Contenders career run, but honestly, Washington Justice was a bit of a prison cell for him. It never quite reached his potential on that roster. Now being picked up by the Seoul Infernal and having a good roster around him, it's been a fantastic year for Mag.
And Mag's got a lot more to bring to the table as well. I'm sure we'll see the Orisa at some point today. We know he has the ball. I don't think he'll play the ball today. He might get baited into it by Milgaru, but I'm still not really expecting too much of the balls to come through. Especially on Midtown. I think, you know, what's got a Midtown? I think we're just going to play Orisa and Ryan here. That, to me, makes the most sense.
Yeah, the Winston not particularly good on first point when you've got someone who wants to hold at the train. Doesn't make for great leap arcs, especially with some of those height restricting signs. They make the Winston leaps a lot more difficult to try and pull off with any real accuracy. And also, as we get into a more poke-heavy meta, it's becoming increasingly difficult for those dive heroes like the Winston and the D.Va to be able to make a clean dive happen without being considerably chunked down first. So yeah, we are going to likely see a lot more of the brawly characters. Orisa at the moment, incredibly powerful, especially with the amount of healing that's being pumped out of occasional double flex support comps. Orisa is an immovable block in the middle of a rushing river.
Speaking of double flex support compositions, SBG's not going to be playing because Hyunjae is still in. They subbed out one flex support in Jinsung for another one in Wuchan. So yeah, usually the way the support substitution goes, your main support player Hyunjae would have been subbed out for the other flex support here. That would have told us that SBG is doing some Vapollari plus likely Orisa shenanigans. Not going to be the case here. I would not be surprised if perhaps we get into, well, certainly I think Infernal might play the Rhine again. I'm wondering if SBG are just going to go for not a full brawl, but maybe just the Orisa look from the start. But I think if you're Mag and you're Infernal, then what worked on Lijiang can also work spectacularly well on Midtown as well.
Yeah, why not? Just keep running this until SPG can prove that they can beat it. And on first point of Midtown, it's going to be incredibly difficult to do so. Maybe when you can start to leverage those high grounds on second, things get a touch more complicated for the Rhine comp. But at the moment, we've got to take things 1 point at a time. And we don't even know who's going to be attacking first yet, I think. Infernal
SPG picked the map
first.
Usually, I think that's interesting because Infernal, I would have imagined selected side. They could be selecting attacking first. But yeah, A is a great point for the Rhine brawl. I think B starts to struggle a little bit. C improves slightly again.
Yeah, it's a bell curve of efficacy, or an inverse bell curve.
Exactly. Although maybe like a camel hump. You get 2 humps and then 1 zip. I'm saying in the middle.
Either that or a camel hump of difficulty for the Rhine.
So anyway, in other words, play the Rhine on A, hope to snowball effectively. If you can snowball really well on B, B's not going to be a problem either.
Hello. We've been waiting for you, Avro.
There we go. I was waiting for the peck. We got pecked that. So we are going to see more Rhine. That part is seeming to be true. Hyunjae's going to go back. Okay, so they are going to do Vapollari. It's just not with 2 flex supports. Want to do the main support map. Aid back on the Torb as we saw in their previous matchup. Mag's going to play the Jungle Queen. So it is going to be a fast composition. They're playing the same comp again, swapping in the Queen for the Rhine, which I don't mind because now we're looking at more of a Dallas Fuel style.
Yeah, and the teleport going to be real good for the Queen, giving them that burst mobility, which the Queen does lack, or at least does somewhat lack without the shout. You don't want to be using your main defensive cooldown for mobility in many cases, though. For now, SPG just throwing a wide gamut here as they are essentially doing some tower defense, but the towers have been breached. They are all over raid. They never saw it coming.
There's 2 ways you can play that. You can either wait for the TP cooldown and go forward to the next building, or notice that there's a player behind you who you can TP directly onto, and that's exactly what happens. Get your whole team straight on top of Aid, who now quickly swaps over to the Sojourn. Should be a recontest here. 2 ticks for Infernal, and then SPG will go in.
They wanted him to be the kill disc guy. Look at how safe Skewed is going to be here as well. How do you try and pressure out this map, which is going to be free healing onto whoever is going to be taking damage? Milgar is surrounded on all sides. I don't care how much Fortify reduces for damage. You can't withstand the entire arsenal that is brought forth by the Seoul Infernal. No one touches the point, and in the end, as the dominoes fall, everything's going the way of Seoul.
And let's see how hard Seoul Infernal can really snowball through B. One ultimate's online. 3's nearly got his as well. SPG still on struggle street as Hyunjae's going to swap over towards the Ana. That's a good choice versus the Queen. I do enjoy that swap over. For SPG, it seems like the woes from Lee Jung-Kao have not yet ended. They are being picked out. There it is again. Aid. I don't know why he jumped.
Yeah,
like, if you jump, you die there. You just press the spacebar and dies.
Decided to aim check Zest, and Zest said bet. It's going to be maybe a little bit troublesome. The sleep coming through. Already, Hyunjae being paid some dividends, but without Aid, of course, SPG don't really have the muscle to actually... Wait, is that Yari back there? What's Wu-Chan doing over there? What's he cooking?
He's about to... Well, actually, no, I don't think Infernal are going to chase him. They don't have any good... They're not going to waste the whole team to chase one player down. They're just going to go for the 4 stack of SPG in their own spawn as they cap the map. Payload is actually not pushing, so maybe we're not capping just yet. Wu-Chan, by the way, looking for... And he's going to lose his captain Sun. So, yeah. Sun not captured, apparently.
Sun remains in the sky. The plants, thank you. What a great day to photosynthesize. My chlorophyll is very happy. SPG, it's...
520 time bank, by the way.
Messy.
And Infernal are still on the rampage. There are still 3 players on SPG who haven't got an ultimate yet. Aid, Milgar, and Hyunjae. To be fair, Hyunjae and Aid did swap, but Aid also swapped before he was hitting that 25% mark. So we're on to see, with 520 left, we did have 520 left, and SPG yet to get 3 out of their 5 ultimates for the map so far. You'll even see how fast Milgaru falls as an Arista, and that's scary.
Yeah, best ult in the game. Artillery strike almost ready to go. Couple cheeky turrets here. I'm going to force Milgar out. Oh, the nano actually goes forth over. That's a one-tap onto Skewed. Oh, that's a big old spear that was put into his chest right there. I don't care. He did get completely skewered. Shish kebabbed.
That slows things down. That's officially going to be the first fight loss for the Infernal. M3 falling as well. Great nade coming through from Hyunjae. That's one way to also stop the TPs, or at least put the red into the TPs. Finally, the Ana swappers, I think, starting to bring some fruit over towards SPG. Good time to be putting their feet into the ground as well, because, you know, see, this is the defendable spot, so where the defense should be strong.
Although it doesn't have to be cautious here. Of a teleport, of course, can dash away in good order. Speed of that soldier instantly exploited. Zest does get stunned, but easy to eat that one. Down comes the artillery strike, who's going to be on top of both of 2 of the hit scans. However, easily dodging away. Don't know how they managed to get their wits around one of the best ultimates in the game, but it did happen.
What a surprise. I can't believe no one died during that ultimate. For the 1000th time as Seoul Infernal. M3 again getting picked out. It's been 2 early deaths for M3 so far, and no trays whatsoever, although it takes 2 with him as he goes down.
Good trades right there. Aid still building up towards these rails, overclock in the back pocket if it's needed, but does Aid feel the need to clutch here when there's already been so much erosion of the Seoul Infernal numbers?
SPG are in a really good spot now. Nearly 5 ultimates. They haven't had to spend anything for all these wins so far. Zest now going over towards the Genji. Here comes Captain Sun again. Typically a combo with the Terror Surge, but didn't seem like it was effective at all. I don't know where the Captain Sun went. Terror Surge simply didn't do enough, and Infernal on 5 players alive, and now pushing forward. Massive cleanup. Payload moving.
Perhaps there's a world where MN3 blocked with the photon barrier. Of course, remember, in the most recent patch, it is now blocked by barriers. Could have been forgotten in the heat of the moment by Wu-Chan. But now, a nano, once again. This could be great onto Milgar. Maybe go for a nano overclock. That's a lot of eggs into one basket. Rampage going to be opening up. Only grabs all though, and there's going to be the nano overclock. Needs to be some good connections here coming through from Aid. And going up against that Baptiste is easily cleaned up by Milgari.
That would have been a cap, I think, for Infernal. Fixer needed to drop the beat there, but I don't know what happened. Couldn't get it done. So down he goes. Sound barrier ended up being saved, unfortunately, for the Seoul Infernal. That 5:20 time bank comes down to 2 minutes now. It's been a huge shave off the time, more than 50% gone. As SPG hold on, nano clock to be the combo to save the day for them.
More stops made, skewed onto the Kiriko now. This is going to allow for much more reliable healing of Zest, who is struggling a little bit with the Baptiste with the recent swap onto the Genji. Oh, already all those down, though. Moving forward with the Sandberry. There's so much cushion here. But Seoul Infernal were just able to take all of the damage and a touch more that SPG dared to provide. Nearly a blade as well. This is going to be very difficult for supports to deal with no defensive ultimate. Quick reflect. Emil Gara is going to die alone on the cart with no friends remaining. A nice little sleep there onto Zest. Hyundai gets a touch of revenge, but in the end, there's nothing but crying remaining. A Seoul Infernal cap of 1:21.
See that Infernal was slowly shifting from a mostly brawl comp over to what would have eventually been kind of a rush style comp, and yeah, there is a difference, by the way, just saying for all the people out there. And that you know, we had in the Summer Showdown last year, you know, that comp has been coming back in. The Junker Queen, Lucio, Kiriko comp, or rather Lucio Rig as well, but I don't really play Rig anymore, so now it's Lucio Kiriko. You kind of need Curry as well to get the cleanse on the sleeps, on the Bionades, which things can be quite bad for Junker Queen comps. If that fight didn't work for Seoul Infernal, they would have swapped M3 off as well, so the Sim eventually has to go in that comp, my opinion.
I don't know.
Seoul
Dallas
Infernal.
Fuel were making it work with their Sim.
They play Sim the whole time? I'm trying to remember.
They played Sim the entire time. I think only Edison swapped.
Fair enough.
I mean,
well, I respect that.
I'm jumping the gun here,
team
Apple. I'm so excited for the Seoul Dynasty game as well. Like, maybe they bring Void back. Void, of course, part of the Shanghai Dragons roster that was so good at that. Jotes, who are you?
So done with this game.
Integral part of that.
Like Day is done with this game.
Yeah, I'm already. I'm here for
over.
O2 Blast versus Dynasty. Next game,
This
please.
game is 1.5 through. It is
I'm just
over,
excited to
people.
see my boy. I'm excited to see my boy Void play some Junker Queen. You know, that's all. That's
Eight
all,
on the
man.
Sombra.
Okay, maybe I am done with this game.
8 on the Sombra. As you know, this hero, we talked about it yesterday, did get nerfed quite significantly. I'm surprised if it does too much yet. Maybe it will. Big nade coming through our Zest. I don't know if that was what all the damage was, but nade actually got mega buffs, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh yeah. It chunks people now, especially if you get that stick. And the explosion damage is not to be sniffed at either. Of course, remember that can often be combined as well with the amplification matrix. But for now, it's all about the TP. They're just all over the Ilyari. She can do naught but an outburst to try and get away. And, well, you're not faster than a Lucio. He's got his premium playlist on.
It's just hard for this. You know, we're starting to see why these Junker Queen comps are working. They're difficult for an Orisa team to stay alive. I mean, you get TP'd into, the Queen shouts, a bunch of green HP dudes rush you down. Very difficult to survive, so possibly I'm looking in the future, we're getting back into a Junker Queen comp maybe as Seoul Infernal do have to respect the fact that they got hit by a pretty large anti-nade. 2 players low, only one of them goes down. 4 players still alive. Infernal, they might lose more, they're gonna lose more. And now Mag has to be careful not to go down. Mag goes down, we're looking at a possible cap.
Oh, great timing on Manano there from Hyundai. Excellent read on how the ebb and the flow of the fight was moving. Now, although it's just going to sit pretty on this point, thank for the first tick, and Seoul Infernal have to figure out if they're going to contest this with the burst TP.
Where's Mag?
Mobility.
Okay, they can do it with the TP. Mag's just got to get there in time.
Oh, the healing's going to be an issue. Forced off now. Everyone just has to run for the hills and hope they don't get staggered on the way out. With no TP, things are going to get a lot more difficult, and Zest is gone as well. Thankfully, there's going to be no anti, as Hyundai didn't have that blocked by an ally. But Seoul Infernal, their troubles are far from done as the Orisa just continues forcing on forward.
Infernal took a massive risk there. That was a gamble for sure. I mean, you want to go for the final contest, you got to know it's going to be close, and this is why I was questioning whether it was going to happen or not. Your tank play cannot be the last death or a recontest because it's going to be a struggle to get him back in. And kind of saw that. M3 goes down far too early, dies at 99. Mag gets shut down as he tries to go through the choke. far too difficult to recontest, and it cost them the entire early portion of B. They'll try and at least go through, underpass, see if they can land on top of anybody. They're just going to get a face full of spear though. Still Milgaru falls.
Face full of spear versus a face full of damage. Milgar is allergic to bullets. Common in humans, actually, and in robot horses. Zest realized that he might be outstaying his welcome here, and it's interesting now to see how the initiative is swapping between these tanks. It's very hard for Mag to try and make a good entry without the TP against the huge control Orisa brings. But when Mag is trying to get into Milgaru's territory, things can be a little bit more easily shut down.
They're getting back capped at this moment. I actually think Aldo should keep capping it this time, and he is. Infernal, they might be going deep versus SPG, but guaranteed SPG get a lot off this. So, yep. It's good that Infernal are winning the fight, kinda. But I think SPG get the way bigger prize.
Mag's got decisions to make right here. There's going to be a touch on the cart coming through from Zest. Extra green HP given over by the shout. Bush unidentified, but Zest doesn't particularly want to go for that 1 versus 1. No, there's some complicating factors around the corner. Nearly over to the blade, but Milgaru demanding a huge amount of attention. Wu Chang coming around the corner, wants to find themselves a duel. There's no healing coming through from Milgaru. The nano was simply too late, but all those going to try and make it work nonetheless. No tank required, they would say, as 19 centimeters separate SPG from a meaty time bank on third, and they're going to find it. 4 minutes.
It's about a 120 less than Infernal, but it's still very impressive. I think Infernal just made 2 blunders. Not quite back-to-back, but certainly 2 in quick succession. One was the extremely risky retake they did on A, they got punished for. And then there was that aggressive play they made on B, while although it was solo pushing. I was going to mention him solo pushing, but yeah, he didn't have to stop. And as SPG are about to cap, Infernal forced to go backwards. They didn't even really win the 5v4. And they had to get pulled back, and that completely ruined their play. This is Dragon Becomes Me. That's it. Short blade. Get a little bit more next time. It's Infernal though. Good to be able to try and re-establish some area control in this particular area. SPG's early forays onto C not going to be very successful at this rate. As Leg Day is so done with this game, he's actually abandoned me. It's just going to be just me. Leg Day will be back for O2 Blast versus Seoul Dynasty, because that's the real game that he's looking forward to, as he mentioned earlier. For the entire duration of which he's gone, I'm just gonna keep throwing him under the bus. Here we go. So barrier down. Max Q still holding on ultimates. Decent chunk that Infernal have to work through here. Rampage from behind, forward on 1 player caught. Heal J down. Not a lot further for SPG here. They got 2, and it's a 3 versus 3. Respawns favoring the Seoul Infernal. Still with their own Kitsune Rush to play through. Milgaru down. Fight is definitely over. 2 minutes left to play through. It is not bad in terms of distance for SPG. Have they run out of resource here? They've been really slowed down in terms of resource. I still think the payload needs to be a little bit further forward because they don't quite have full tempo for control of this high ground, although being caught early is going to be a bit rough as well. Down to 140. Aid being caught this time as well. Skew. Long range shots in the kunai. We're going to find more. Find a lot more. Milgaru should die here as well. Spawn cap opportunity available for Infernal. If they would like. They probably should. Burn as much time as possible. Control as much space as possible. Notoriously, this is actually a reasonably difficult spawn camp to get out of if you're fully surrounded. And Infernal can also always very quickly back on out. They have safety in the sound barrier. Speed on the Kitsune Rush. SPG. Last minute. Hangover's moving backwards. And they're respecting the Kitsune Rush, so they're going to wait for this as well. Back into spawn if they can. Save Milgaru if they can. Maybe they can't. Pulse bomb onto M3. Successful's outplayed, but many members are down. Vixen will save the sound barrier, which I actually think smart here. Possibly could have been used to save this fight, but better used to save the next fight, as SPG successfully got our spawn. Still just enough time to maybe get back in. Just the sound barrier proton. barrier as well to hold on. This is going to be good distance for SPG. They're going to get to the end. They're going to force a really good final fight. Deep TP, full barrier in, hold in his aid. With how many players was that? They all get grouped in on the aid, slide in. He slid directly into his death. Everybody got grouped together there, and it's all done for. I'm pretty sure this is it now. 12 seconds remaining. No. We haven't started O2 versus Dynasty yet. Like, they came back too early.
Most of the Lijiang Tower, definitely signs of life being seen from SPG as they managed to wiggle their way around this Junker Queen comp a couple of times.
I think Seoul Infernal probably got a little bit scrappy on that defense there. Their attack was pretty flawless for the most part. I don't think they really lost any notable fights. But on the defense, yeah, there were a couple of mistakes there. One of them was a gamble. The other one, I think they just didn't pay attention to the payload. They should have noted that. We're being backcapped right now, or rather we're being payload shoved right now, and now's a really bad time to go for a 5v4. But beyond that, I think Sin Prisa really started to show up. They broke out of the spawn camp as well. That's not a difficult, that's not an easy spawn camp to break out of. And actually pushed it to within margin of still capping through the entire map, which is very impressive for Sin Prisa Gaming. So maybe hope is not lost here. Things certainly got a lot closer, as you say, on Midtown. Let's see if they can get a map through on Flashpoint coming up next. Well, Midtown certainly got a lot more interesting. And as we head into Flashpoint, I don't know about today. It's not been a good day for the underdog on Flashpoint. But yesterday, Flashpoint's got really close. If there was one map type that allowed the team down 0-2 to make a comeback, it was Flashpoint.
I mean, if Reiner could espouse words of it, you'd call it a Mickey Mouse map. But I think that Flashpoint is incredibly hype. And like you said, it's anybody's game. Flashpoint, it can just happen on a dime. Sometimes a weaker team can really just find one fight that does everything you need to and turn a series, well, maybe not a series around, but a map around at least. And so many of them go to 5. Flashpoint, I haven't cast it yet, but boy, am I looking forward to it.
It's a lot of snowballing for sure. When you think about how quick the points go, if you can snowball roughly 2 fights in a row, you can get a point off that alone. So, and there's also the consideration that depending on where this points spawn, you have a quicker run, you have a quicker rotation time than the other team, even if you potentially lost the previous point because it spawned on your side of the map. So there is that to consider as well. But the one guarantee that we have is I think there is a huge advantage for the team who wins the first fight. Sorry, wins the first point. Typically, if you win the first fight, you're probably advantaged to win the first point. But if you win the first point, you cap, you're going to get the first rotation on the second point, no matter where it is.
Mm-hmm. It's we're extending the rules that we had for control in terms of first fight. It goes to first point dominance now, so you can really control when and where the fights happen, being able to take a skirmish on your terms as the other team that's respawning is scrambling to try and move between playing the objective and avoiding going up against the wrecking ball of a rotation that's coming through from a team that has been able to maintain numbers after a successful point capture.
So essentially, I don't think it's uncommon at all to see teams go up 2-0 on this map. Because you get 1 point, your advantage for the next point, likely to go 2-0. Which forces them reverse sweeps to happen on this. We've had full, I can't, how deep did the Dallas one go? Was that a 3-0 on Flashpoint or?
I believe it was maybe, I can't remember the Dallas one now.
I can't imagine it was. You know what? I can check because we have technology.
The technology is there. Avril is diving into the Matrix head first. Use the butterfly.
Yeah, they 3-0'd. So, I mean, if you're just better, it's not a surprise with 3-0. But we did see a full reverse sweep of this map yesterday. And, I think it's possible. You get some wind under your sails. Another Suravasa.
Yeah.
I think we've mostly played Suravasa as well because we had 2 of it yesterday, and then no, Dallas played Junk City, so we're 2-2 now.
I think it's been a lot of Suravasa. Actually, they're not doing
2 more yesterday as well.
In NA, they're still doing map sets, so I think they're about even between the series that were played in North America.
Imagine not being in knockouts yet.
Can you imagine?
Imagine finishing your regular season on a new patch. Could be us. Could be this region.
Exactly. APAC going hard. Every match matters. No games from regular season remaining. It's all knockouts now. Milgaru is finally revealing the ball.
We balling. And Mag's going to be playing Winston, which is what Gushra did here. I'm actually surprised they just don't play the Queen again. The Queen was pretty good here as well, but we'll see. Maybe it's always Jump City versus Suravasa thing. I'm still not like fully in tune with the differences between the maps to dictate comps. Seems pretty similar to me. And there's different points on them as well. They all favor different things.
Plenty of length of the sight line here on market for poking. That's why both Hyunjae and Wu-Chan have decided to go for these long-range supports, but MN3 is just as able to leverage that range. And, well, if you want to take a hit scan duel, MN3 is going to be low on the list of desired opponents to do so again. It's an overextension, though, punished by Milgaru, squishing them underfoot with the pile driver, or under ball, rather. And now Seoul Infernal was sent scattering away.
So, recovery by SVG. Philip didn't get too much there. The first kill as well. decent first one to Wuchen. Wuchen falls again, so it's going to be a slow day for Wuchen. Despite dying twice, still is on 79% for an ult. Start to see the tempo of Milgaru on this map. If there was one map game mode that I think Ball might be okay on, it should be Flashpoint.
I believe we saw a little bit of Ball on Suravasa yesterday from Milgaru as well, doing an excellent job of just making sure that Winston dives were getting consistently harried and harassed.
He played it on Antarctica for some reason. He played it on Antarctica, so I don't know about that. Yeah, he seemed to play it all over the place. Mag's now swapped over, so but we did talk about this. So Mag, he could get baited into this Ball gameplay. I don't know. Maybe it's actually good. Maybe it's not a bait. Maybe this is what they should be doing.
I have an easier time of approaching these supports. Of course, can't get headshot while in that ball form, so it was exploited extensively against Jimmy in a time-long pass where Guangzhou Charge were more of a threat. Fix has already fallen down, skewed next on the docket here, although looking for them, but a quick teleport away means that there's a hoodwinking and a Houdini in here for Skew to disappear. Still, the rest of Seoul Infernal are disappearing in short order as well, as SPG just gather around their emplacements, and hell, they've made a home out of it.
They have. Yeah, Infernal just struggled to break in at all. You would think that things should be difficult for SPG, given that they're still playing kind of a, you know, poke-ish comp. Wuchan's still on the Alari for now. Might look to swap afterwards, or maybe Hyundai will swap, given that Hyundai has the Lucio. Top left, we go into Ruins, where it might be, we'll see if, well, let's see what M3 does first. This is on 1 HP here, just couldn't quite find the shots. Now the blades are coming through. It's double DPS ultimates. Wuchan looking to be the target, shooting out the Captive Sun. Might not even be really required here as Infernal melt under Milgaru, and although that's double support's gone, and SPG, they won the last point. They were first to this one, and they'll cap it first. 2
DPS ultimates to try and kill Aiden. While they did get their man or dwarf, they didn't get the rest of SPG. An outburst from Wuchan just sent Zest flailing elsewhere and swinging his sword uselessly in the air like he ate too many sweets before going to some manner of anime convention. Now the Molten Core ready to go for some excellent zoning here, but they've gone Sombra. Just the hard ball counter, I suppose.
Which is not even really a Zest here. Like, I've never seen Zest play this before. M3 is going to get the sniper to Wuchan again, so that's been their primary target. It's been the easiest player to kill, and successfully they've been able to do it multiple times. This should be the fight now. Sound barrier for Seoul Infernal, multiple opening frags. No response from SPG. Molten Core on Ruins, which is the smallest point of the 5 here. Typically you'd think it'd be okay, but still just far too easy to dodge. Way too much mobility on Seoul Infernal. Everybody can get away from it.
Actually, Hyundai he swaps over now. The Ilyari remains, but the Brigitte has been added to the composition. Full Lindholm power from SPG. Maybe hoping that this could do a little bit more in terms of potentially scaring away
you can't have double flex support, that's for sure. And Hyundai is the main support player on this team, so he would be the one swap. But I was thinking maybe Wuchan would go towards something safer, like a zone Kariko here, as we see Skewed pulled out with the Tuna Rush.
Pressure here onto MN3, but stands his ground, plenty of feeling behind him. Although he's pressuring that point, that needs to be borne in mind, so going for a quick 2 versus 1 here between Fixer and MN3. Although fails to slip the net, and so will lose his life. Mag considers a duel of pile drivers. He's got himself a Lindholm all by themselves. Captive Sun going to be joining the party here. Who dares to explode an EMP? Tries to turn out the lights, but Captive Sun brought to bear, and the luminosity cannot bring itself any victims.
Point's going to go the way of Infernal. Absolutely, here as we go 1-1, back down bottom left. So from top right to bottom left is a great rotation for the Seoul Infernal. Unfortunately, you can see for SPG, they will always spawn on that right side of the map, which means they're going to be really far away. But had we gone to either Temple or Gardens, they would have probably had first rotation.
MN3 wondering if he wants to invest for time to go up to high ground. Indeed he does. This will make things a touch more complicated for Aldo to make a dive happen, as they are going to be far easier to track as they try and move their way through here. Milgaru certainly noted as he makes his approach, and a stick here can actually open things up in favor of SPG. Still, Aldo is intercepted by Zest, and Mag robs in from the back. Great awareness from Hyundai there. Just trying to avoid that overall engage. MN3 going to be the first to fall. Wuchan actually finds that one with a rifle of the sun. Beautiful.
Milgaru slamming players up and not dying himself. Infernal tried to Suzu it to even save M3. Not going to be the case. M3 swaps over towards the Torb as well. No, actually the cast, not a bad pick. I like that. That's going to be doing wonders versus now the very mobile comp of SPG. I still think Wu Chun's personal selection here could be at risk. Zest is going to move away from the Sombra onto his own Torb, so very defensive looking type of comp. Now, if Infernal can actually cap, it'll be hard for SPG to push into them.
Yeah, it'll be incredibly difficult to deal with all of those potential threats that could come their way. A minefield comes on out as Suzu actually cleanses away some of the damage coming through from that pile driver, but still Fixer's lost, and now disengagement is going to be harder without that speed boost. So although continues to shepherd them on through an attempt to try and break through this with the EMP, Wu Chan makes the most of it. A triple kill from Viliari. Seoul Infernal left reeling.
Confirmation that Slam knockup is the strongest form of CC. Not even Suzu can save you from that.
True.
Because well, unless you get Suzu before the Slam happens, but once you're in the air, staying in the air. SPG now, he's going to go over towards the Torb. It's going to be Torb versus Torb. And as I mentioned, Infernal's comp would be very strong if they had control of the point and if they were defending. But attacking-wise, it's been hard for them to get in so far. Big about it coming through a huge shield dash.
Yeah, massive stun, guys. Multiple players. Captive stun. Skewed can't even explode. He's dead before it happens. Oh, that's an unfortunate miss from Mag. The Rampage claims no victims. Hyunjae's on the docket, yes, but plenty of feeling coming their way. That pylon's troublesome. There should be a cap here for SPG. Where are we going to next?
Somewhere on the right, Temple or Garden, looking like Temple. And yeah, it would have been good for, even if SPG had lost that, it'd still be good for them anyway because it spawns on their side of the map. So now for the last 2 points remaining, it's going to be SPG favored because it's going to be Garden next, even if Infernal get this one where fast rotations all the side of SPG, and you said it, it's going to be the Mag Rhine. It was too hard for the Jungle Queen to break in. Maybe they need the Sim TP to get around. Possibly
bear in mind
the
the death pits. There are a lot of places you can fall to your death here, and you know that Milgari may well be looking for them, Avril. But still,
Wuchan's got a knockback as well, so there's 2 ways you get knocked in.
Picture, of course, much more reliable on that with Velocio.
Okay, test on the cap. Okay.
Very curious.
That's a problem. I think on a control map, that's one thing, but on a Flashpoint, this point's ticking up quick.
Need it is. Get him, turret! Screams aid. Throwing it into the Crucible, as although going to be missing out on the Pulse Bomb kill. Quick back off here from Seoul Infernal just to get healed on that. They've got stuff to give, but they don't have traces to give. MN3 sends all those to the grave and even more. Oh, the boy's aiming. We all know what he could do, and he just continues to do it.
This is what MN3 looks like off Sombra. If you didn't get to watch MN3 last year, and you've only started to pay attention to this team this year, or this region this year, and you're like, man, what's the hype behind MN3? He's just playing Sombra. Everyone's playing Sombra. You're really seeing it now. MN3's gotten into an actual hit scan meta, and he's fragging on the cast. This is looking very, very one-sided for the fellow. Big number of ultimates. Looks like a double, triple boot from Gilgari, though.
Oh, the movement here from Wu Chan. Got the schmoves, but in the end can't really find much. Oh, it goes straight into the shield of the Reinhardt. Beautiful block there from Mag, but still has lost out on multiple squishies behind him. Skewed, taken down, and a misstep there from MN3 placed him into the Molten Core. And those cowboy boots, they aren't rated for lava.
SPG got a lot to come back from now. They got to win like 2.5 fights here. It's going to be a free shatter for Mag when he finds that as well. Nothing to block it through. Whatever player gets hit, instant death, you'd imagine. Oh, this stage. I mean, they need this one to go all 5. I think it's likely we go all 5. We've got a lot to work through here. Nano for SPG. Not even any good nano targets. Although aid probably best to unless Milgari's dying.
Yeah, certainly will allow Milgari a little bit more staying power than the ball usually has, who's often more of a hidden run piece. Still control of the point, it's aid on the ground, you could see. But the Nano came through in an attempt to save him, but there was simply too much damage. Skewed has gone off. This is what we were talking about. Milgari looking for those cheeky environmentals. of zoning is strong. Who dares now to face up against the Deadeye? Knowing what time it is, Hyunjae is still going to peek, but there wasn't enough of a skull coming through a stick. He's moved on to MN3. A Samba is trying to turn this once around, and it's only 3 players who are going to be given over. Vixer looking for an assassination, but control of the point is definitely going to be going the way of these mines. And with Mag falling down, this could be brutally bad.
SPG might have this. There's not enough time. Mag can't get out. He has to come back on a ball or a Doom. Look at the point. It's gone. Mag has to respawn immediately and come back in, but there's no position for him to take. Everyone's died around the Seoul Infernal, and we're done. The map is dusted. Wow. Seoul Infernal could not hold on. They had such a good final cap. Deadeye to zone away SPG, but a final play from Ilgo, diving on in, swinging through the grapple, mines all over the point, and Seoul Infernal could not contest that.
And opening it up as well by knocking Skewed off the mat, getting rid of the main source of healing. The main source of staying power. Yes, there was a sound barrier in the back pocket for Fixer, but only 3 players were there to receive it. What a play from Milgaru. Heroics, SPG. When Milgaru's on his ball, when Milgaru be balling, SPG are a different beast.
Man was balling. I mean, and what a point for the ball as well, because we talked about that being of the available points,
The most
that
perilous.
for sure is the most hardcore for the potential of boops off the map. Garden possibly, but Temple is the one you got to watch out for. I talked about it earlier, leg day, but if there's a map to come back on, it is Flashpoint, SPG 1 and 2. See you after the break. Flashpoint delivers yet another upset. We saw a couple of those yesterday, and now Infernal, despite very dominant Lee Jung, still very good on Midtown. A couple of slip-ups. Ended up falling prey to the Milgaru ball. When he brings out the ball, it's just a different SPG.
Repost this of Milgaru be ballin', and ballin' indeed he was. A well-placed swing of the grapple, doomed skew to a Temple of Doom style pit. And after that, there was simply no healing to keep Infernal in the game. They dropped out early on Palace as well. That was an absolute masterclass in defensive dives from Milgaru and Hyunjae on with the rally multiple times, just making sure that whenever Seoul Infernal showed their face around Palace, they were instantly decimated.
Although, and I'm not talking about the player, we're going to go to a push map now, which means no more ball. We no longer balling. So that is going to be, you know, we just saw the Milgaru ball win a map for SPG, and now unfortunately we're going to be going to a very unfavored map type for ball.
You know, back in the
good
day,
one for Mag and Soul Infernal, because either Ryan or Junk Queen is going to be dominant. Maybe even Orisa.
we're going to Colosseo, but quick aside in terms of push, back when SPG had 2U, Milgaru actually came into play ball only on New Queen Street. It used to be his map. But New Queen Street we are not going to, and Colosseo far less ball friendly. And yeah, like Colosseo, Junker Queen is amazing here.
I remember, you want to talk about New Queen Street and ball, I remember last year specifically when Bellas Rio was on this team. He was the original ballin' dude.
The original Canada baller.
The Canada baller on New Queen Street. That's what that was. This team last year. All right. Who knows? You said you wanted to see Void, but Dynasty could be balling.
Yeah,
it could be balling.
The Canada baller could come back. Could be real. Bellas Rio crazy on the wrecking ball. Yeah, we have a dearth of them in
just
APAC.
jokes, only jokes.
I figure that we're probably going to see the Orisa here most likely to try and deal with the Junker Queen, but once again, the Symmetra
because you just run past the Orisa. You just you wave at the Orisa as you run by.
Bye.
And you just decimate the other 4 players. That's all you do.
What do you do?
The Orisa has 1 spare to try and stop 1 player out of the 5 that are rushing down the rest of your team.
Well, she could spit it some.
Is he balling?
He better.
Is he gonna try?
Surely he's not balling on the Colosseo.
It's not the map for it.
It near unheard of. The professional ball.
It is actually incredible that Infernal chose this map, because they didn't choose the worst map of the 3 choices on push for a ball. The Milgaru's got to do it anyway.
This is a man of wit, character, and bravery, and I am certainly here for it.
He's unshackled from meta slavery. He's doing whatever he wants.
I don't care what you tell me.
Whatever he wants.
He's been unchained. This hamster is without master. Death having
the first dive.
Already. Get out the
Gonna
overload.
have to survive that bolt.
Oh, it's wet and wild over here.
Oh, that's
It's anybody's game, but Wuchan simply playing by themselves. The rest of SPG had abandoned that location. I don't know if it was a miscom or simply... maybe it is a comms issue. That Wuchan did not hear that there was a big old disengage.
So the problem for Sin Prisa will always be in the middle portion of the map, in the concourse. That is where Ball can't really do much. I mean, you saw it. Milgaru's trying to spend the entire game on the outside of the glass where the fountain is, because you can't do anything in the actual main lane of the map. Nothing happens there for the ball. So, yeah, for what I consider to be probably the most important part of the map, ball really just doesn't do much.
That's why we never really see it over on Colosseo. Of course, when you start to be able to leverage those high grounds and you can knock players off into more vulnerable positions, ball does have its use cases. But like you said, in that primary thoroughfare, long sightlines, no one's playing ball on Circuit Royale for the same reason that no one's playing ball on Colosseo. It's simply a bad geography for a little mammal.
Well,
They even killed the background music.
Skewed. Yeah, that even it all got paused. Everything got paused. We do finally get to see the Skewed Diary. That was something we were hoping for, as one of our MVP candidates from this region and a flex support player. You'd probably say he's the best flex support player that we've seen in this region at the moment. And if anyone was going to be a great operator, the new hero, you'd expect Skewed to be that, and already 2K off the rip.
Skewed is a dangerous customer when it comes to any aim-centric characters, and Fixer, of course, can complement it well on a Baptiste. Like we mentioned earlier, Fixer has had some time as a professional Baptiste, even if not much of a flex support in terms of his hero pool. Bap has been a part of where they've landed previously, kind of similar to Langsa, who played Baptiste for Chengdu Hunters for a while, despite being more of a main support player. And Mag here having access to a stun does mean that it's a very easy stun to get on top of the Wrecking Ball when you can, like, track that pile driver very easily. But it does mean that the disengagement can also be fairly easy for the ball afterwards.
It's also tough to heal the ball for this comp as well, because they're playing double flex support.
Yeah.
Playing Bapillary, which is like, well, who really heals the ball? Milgaru's got to come back, and then you spam left click into him.
Oh,
that's enough.
Sigma?
Yep.
Curious.
We signaling. Doesn't quite work the same way.
We've gone from 1 ball to 2. 2 can be as bad as 1.
I think this is better for the... If you want to play double flex support, this is much better, obviously. It's full poke comp now. Massive poke coming on through. Skewed will pay for it.
Yeah, Skewed simply plays a little bit too far up and catches too much damage. Milgaru making quick work of all of the deployables that are placed into his path, and this is a much better tank for trying to work down these long sight lines and give a huge amount of space over to your pokers.
This is super awkward for Infernal now, because they're not playing the full poke composition, they're playing a pseudo poke. And the Torb is okay in terms of breaking down Milgaru's shield, but oh my god, you're just getting obliterated by the damage given that Mag doesn't have a shield. You can do the spare spin, but beyond that, you're not blocking anything.
We've heard of pseudopods, but now we experience pseudopoke. And Mag is going to be getting a lot of that poke, courtesy of Wu-Chan.
Mag is have to look at other options, yeah.
The Torb Terror Surge, though? Surely not.
Come on, Terror Surge is only slightly better.
He's playing for the Terror Surge.
We've established that artillery is not very good. Okay, to be fair, Terror Surge and Captive Sun together is a very effective ultimate. That's a good ultimate. But watch Milgaru eat this away.
Oh, Wu-Chan does it first. Those hyperspheres, there's going to cause some detonations, and that forces out the immortality field.
Destroy the lamp. Let's go.
Let's go. 1 lamp for another luminous being away. It's crude matter from which SPG will flee. And now Seoul Infernal, they're going to be able to come in with their potential combo, but with Milgaru already down, do you really want to invest into this? You've already done enough.
Haven't seen the Zest Soldier before, so we've seen a whole bunch of new heroes that are Zest today. A bunch of head scans that he is not super well known for. Him and 3's role here, but immediately gets taken down by Aldo, who's been kind of doing a lot on that Soldier. 8 on his signature Soldier that he's played all throughout the year and the last year as well. And SPG, I think the momentum is certainly in their favor. I'm liking their comp a lot more here. And we talked about this Mag Orisa holding on to the Terror Surge for the combo. The combo better be good, because otherwise I'm not seeing the Mag Orisa doing too much else.
Remember, Milgaru's got so many means of trying to mitigate that Captive Sun as well, between the shield and the Kinetic Grasp. The Kinetic Grasp has been forced out, and that could be a go sign here for the combo if it is going to be coming through. But Milgaru's already taking so much pressure. That's going to force out incoming damage, and that's going to be 2 players hit with the Sunstroke. No destination shut thus far, but Aid finally flies into the air and becomes a Firefly in his own right. 2 kills. Now that's a fantastic ultimate.
Oh, when Milgaru's not there to block anything, SPG is just going to have to eat the Captive Sun, and their players have nowhere really to hide except for some geometry if they can find it. Not this time, though. It's Infernal to go for the cap. This is actually where the Terror Surge could be strong. You're starting to go for the cap. No, backing out. But if they were going for the cap, SPG come for the contest. They're so strong in that very small part of the map as we go uphill.
Yeah, dragging people off the dragging players off the bridge. Not to be underestimated when you can try and leverage that position so heavily, as we have all been tilted off many times previously. Wu-Chan picked off early. The Hyunjae and Aid want to try and turn this around with some combination of ultimates. It might be too late, but Hyunjae still pulled the trigger on the window. Oh, skewed though. He do be aiming. And he's aiming strong.
And now this will surely be the cap. SPG still in the respawns here. Just taking aggressive positioning. Pylon positioning there as well on the side means difficult to break and very free healing for Zest, especially if he pairs it with the healing pad as well. And you have to contest this one, and this is where Mag, and this is the moment. You've been saving the Terror Surge for this. Solo capping by Fixer, actually.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
oh, here comes Terror Surge.
They had. Yeah, Terror Surge out early, and now everyone's caught in a elsewise area. Gravitic Flux lays players down on the floor, but it's instantly answered with both a pylon and an immortality field. Double lamps, double lights. But it's a blinding light that SPG needs to try and move through here. Overclock still in the back pocket of Aid. Now it's going to be drawn out to the 4. Question is, can you find your targets coming down from the top? MN3 is going to be public enemy number 1, but he's got himself a headshot. He's brutal on the Sojourn. John Soj arrives at the perfect time, and while Skewed might be airborne, he is far from crashing down. Seoul Infernal go big with all 5 ultimates. What a huge investment.
Yeah, and I respect that SPG went for the aggressive play. You can see that Wu-Chan even towards the end there tried to save it with the Captive Sun, but when Age slides into MN3 and you see that MN3 is being pocketed by the pylon, you're just not going to out-damage it. You have to burst him. You have to land those headshots or kill the pylon. There's not enough time to do both. MN3 will find his man and then several more afterwards. We're deep into the triple digits now. 122. It is insane lead for Infernal.
This is going to be a monstrous lead to try and overcome here, but it all starts with one fight. Milgar trying to claim the space here, but already the Fortify has been popped. Double healing coming through, courtesy of the window and the Baptiste that's laying behind it. A Seoul Infernal, they have to just scatter to the hills here, and Aid's been picked off on the side. MN3 wins out on the Sojourn duel. Once again, we gotta say, it's a hard hit scan meta, and MN3's real good at it, but all those happy to be playing this too. Dink after dink from the Soldier 76, and maybe just a tactical buzz to try and clean it up. Going between Timmy's legs, you don't want to be shooting there. That's rather nervous for the little bot. And still Skewed's gonna be taken down. Finally controlled back to SPG.
How expensive was that, though? They already basically won the fight. 2 members down from the Seoul Infernal, and SPG still felt the need, although, to throw in an extra attack visor. That's gone now. And, what, like 90 or so, high 80s worth of meterage to regain, and SPG in 2 minutes and 45. It's a lot of work. You need as many ultimates as you can. Infernal at this stage can just play defensively, play slowly.
They can simply troll the bot. They have lost the forward spawn mines, which is going to make their returns on the defense a little bit slower. Wu-Chan forced off of that off angle, trying to take these 2v1s here. Are Zest and Skewed to outpoke any who dare to present themselves on the elf angle. It's Wu-Chan who continues to do that.
A straight snipe from MN3. Decent capture on the players called by the Capture Sun.
Finally going to be Wu-Chan taken down. Mag is free to feast right now. He's got a buffet in front of him, and all his favorite snacks have been laid out by the gracious hosts of SPG. SPG have 2 ults to try and turn this one around, but Seoul Infernal can match them with DPS raw power.
The real question is, do Infernal actually stay or not? Because they can just shove the payload forward and instantly fall back positioning-wise. With the advanced positioning of both Skewed and Zest, Skewed himself, who has to be a little bit careful here. Looks like they're going to just play right into the face of SPG.
Attempting Captive Sun. 2 players laying the light by the Star Strike, but it's only going to take out the Immortality Field. Excellent response there from Fixer. As Zest and Skewed are going to be able to re-enter the zone. MN3 at the end of the lane. We've seen things happen here before, but miracles would speak of. And MN3 doesn't quite bring a miracle of his own, but brings a kill, brings a sacrifice to Hades. And Milgaru has chosen his target, but answered by the Seoul Infernal supports is taken down.
I mean, if it wasn't over before, it's very over now. Less than 1 minute left to play through, and more meters for the Seoul Infernal. They're threatening the full cap. Unlikely to get it with only 4 members, but this one is just looking rough. Aid looking to go down early again. It's just always low HP, always targeting Neil Garu for that. If Wushan dies as well, things get really bad. Aid will at least just trying to swing things back in the favor of SPG. It's only 1 kill though, they need more than that. SPG needs a whole lot of everything. Bag on the Terror Surge. Holding for as long as possible, get the pylon, something to work through. Infernal still winning. They might actually cap through the whole map. SPG have lost all ability to get any counter trades.
Kill after kill coming through. Mag now just hunting down the squishies that put themselves before this arrest, prostrating themselves before their god as they beg for mercy. Aid, yes, has come out on the Hunter, but you're going to need more than dragons and a plucky attitude to get past the demons. A Seoul Infernal sweep through to a victory on Colosseo.
A rare full capture on the Colosseo. We don't see that very often anymore. There's just enough time left in the day to get it done. They didn't feel good about losing Flashpoint. They wanted, I don't even know if I could call it revenge, but they wanted to make up for the fact that they lost a map they probably felt like they shouldn't have lost. What a way to come back through and absolutely dominate on a push. It was their choice. They knew they wanted a push map that was not going to be good for the ball. Nogara played the ball anyway. Lost, I think, Sin Prisa a lot of the early phase of the map. Didn't get a lot done early on. It wasn't until the Sigma swap came through that things started to look a lot more even. The Seoul Infernal, they soldiered on anyway. And they came back in, beat the Sigma, forced Mugar to swap off, and then finished the map.
You know, we talked about how excited we were to see skewed on Iliari as the map came to a close, was very close to the damage of both the Sojourns. Aid was out-damaged by skewed, but Zest who will walk away with our player of the match. Excellent performance on the Bastion to begin with. Left SPG a little bit shell-shocked. They took their time to try and find their groove on the defense of Midtown. And if they weren't as shell-shocked from Lijiang Tower, maybe that Midtown could have been a win for them, because the defense of Seoul Infernal did have a couple of holes that could be exploited.
I think the really impressive thing about Zest today was the flexibility, because we actually saw some of the hit scans come through, and I guess Bastion also counts in that. You think of Zest, you're typically thinking of Genji, which he did play today. You're thinking of the Tracer as well, which has been one of his primary heroes, and of course the Echo, which is a signature in any flex DPS's pocket. But yeah, start out with Bastion, played Soldier, played Torn, tiny bit of Sombra, but it's the Bastion that really set the tone for the rest of the series. And Seoul Infernal, generally speaking, this Rhine war composition was incredibly clean. That is one matchup that Sin Prisa have no shot winning against Infernal.
Touch of Genji, as we said before. Excellent coordination, like the ability to just roll forward like a tidal wave alongside that Mag Junker Queen is definitely going to be a huge asset to the overall compositional repertoire of this team. Nice tracking onto Wu-Chan. It is a little bit assisted by the window mine, but sometimes it's about what you can try and do alongside your team. And
when one bullet is double damage.
Hey,
the last one.
Big assist, big assist. And yet Zest and Skewed were like a menace on the off angle, because honestly, Wu-Chan kept trying to take that fight and was often alone getting 2v1 there.
I think that was one of the quiet swaps as well. You needed to see Zest go into something else off the top eventually. Just can't challenge long range. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of the Soldier Sojin combo, which is, I think, a rare combo. Like, we've never had a meta with both of relevant at the same time. Last year, early on, we had Soldier dominate, and then it was Sojin. Now maybe it's time for both, as we'll head into the post-match interview. The member of the Seoul Infernal, unknown on the translation.
안녕하세요. 제스트 선수 반갑습니다.
Hello, Zest.
안녕하세요.
네, 강팀의 품격을 보여준 3대1 승리 축하드립니다. 소감 어떠신가요?
That was a really impressive performance, winning 3-1. How do you feel?
네, 첫 승이라 네, 되게 기분 좋은 것 같아요.
It's always good to start a tournament with a win, so I feel very satisfied.
많은 분들이 이번 너가웃의 임페르날은 어떤 조합을 들고 올까 굉장히 많은 기대를 해주셨는데 오늘 그중 특히 시메트라와 루시우로 기동성을 보완한 바스티온 조합이 굉장히 활약이 돋보였습니다.
So a lot of fans were wondering what comp Infernal will be cooking. You brought up the Bastion with the Symmetra. What's the secret behind the monstrous damage from the Bastion?
제가 딜 넣을 구도가 잘 나와가지고 TP로 이렇게 한 번에 움직이면서 하니까. 네, 그래서
Well, Bastion's all about whether you have the opportunity to put in that damage or not. So a lot of mobility, extra mobility from the Symmetra opened up a lot of space for the Bastion to do a lot of damage. So I got some merit for my teammates there.
오늘 모든 맵에서 양 팀의 픽 변경이 굉장히 활발했습니다. 특히 수라바사에서는요 상대팀이 거점 홀딩에 용이한 레킹볼 조합을 들고 와서 인페르날이 다소 흔들리는 모습을 보여주고 아쉽게 세트까지 내주기도 했는데 그때 혹시 어떻게 대처를 하려고 이
So we saw a lot of comp
오버매치가
changes from
궁금합니다.
both sides, especially in Suravasa. You guys kind of struggled when SPG brought up the Wrecking Ball. Did you have any internal discussion on how to counter that threat?
루시우 키리코 조합을 이용해서 한번 해보자 해서 하다가 잘 안 돼가지고 그냥 그때부터 그냥 유동적으로 좀 바꾼 것 같아요 다들.
So initially we had that discussion. When we had the discussion, we thought that we could have countered the Wrecking Ball with the Lucio Kiriko, but it didn't really work out. So we kind of changed plans to change our comps very fluidly and by the situation, and so that kind of worked out a little bit better.
중요한데 오늘 임페르날의 모든 선수분들이 영웅폭이 굉장히 넓었습니다. 마지막 질문 드리자면요. 오늘 제스트 선수가 정말 많은 딜러 플레이를 하셨는데 그중 가장 즐겁게 플레이했던
So you
영웅이
played
뭔지
the
궁금합니다.
Zest. You personally played a lot of heroes. What was your most favorite hero that you played today?
바스온이 제일 재밌었던 것 같습니다.
Well, I mean, just in terms of fun, I think Bastion was the most fun hero to play today.
앞으로도 바스티온을 비롯한 다른 다양한 영웅들로 활약하는 모습 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 인터뷰 감사합니다.
Hey, so I'll expect a lot more from you here, and that's the end of the interview. Back to you, Harry.
Thank you very much, Unknown. Well translated and well spoken by Zest. We're all very impressed by the flexibility that was brought to the fore, and I'd like to see a little bit more Bastion. Avril, I'm excited to see what else can be brought up here, but as I spoke about earlier, I'm excited to see Void & Co. potentially bring out a Junker Queen again. It was a mad jokes meta last time. Next up, we got O2 Blast versus Seoul Dynasty. We'll see you after this.